This is the Module 3 Topical Knowledge video focusing on equity, diversity, and inclusion, or EDI, within the profession of architecture. So to understand the profession in full context, we need to have some understanding of who it is that it's been made up of, and who's been excluded from it historically, and what are the barriers that have led to this exclusion. Additionally, within those who are part of this profession, we must understand what sort of practices, policies, and approaches can be implemented to make the profession more equitable, diverse, and inclusive for everyone who's a part of it. The NCAR by the Numbers report and the Equity in Architecture Survey report that are a part of the course readings for this week are great resources for understanding what the makeup of this profession has been historically and how it's been changing. But first, let's start by defining each of these terms we're using throughout this module and discussing the differences between them. So equity is the practice of constantly and consistently recognizing and working to redistribute imbalances in power and in opportunity. Diversity, on the other hand, is having representation from multiple identities within an organization or within the overall profession. This can mean a number of differences in identities, including but not limited to things like gender, race, sexual orientation, religion, educational background, age, socioeconomic background, and a number of other differences that can contribute to a person's identity. Inclusion is the belief and reinforcement of the idea that the thoughts, ideas, and perspectives of all individuals matter, and working to make sure those different perspectives are heard and acknowledged across various settings within the profession. All three of these are critical to creating a practice or a profession that engages the full potential of all the individuals who are part of it, where innovation thrives and views, beliefs, and values are integrated. If we acknowledge the fact that we don't all come from the same circumstances, and that treating everyone as though they do doesn't really provide equal opportunities for success, we can start to reframe the way we do things to level the playing field to accommodate everyone's individual circumstances. So this is something that we should be doing both in academia and in practice, and something that we try to carry with us throughout the context of this professional practice course. So what does that mean for this class? Within this class, we're always willing to provide flexibility when extenuating life circumstances come up. And while we can't allow for the work not to get done, we're always happy to work with you to figure out ways to overcome what obstacles you're facing and get it done. So keep that in mind throughout the course and communicate with us if we can help address your specific situation. So this approach affects everyone, regardless of if you fall into a group that typically identifies as a marginalized or a minority group. We all think, work, learn differently, and have different home and family life circumstances that we're facing. More and more firms are developing flexible work arrangements to accommodate these specific circumstances of each of the unique individuals who make it up and who are a part of it, so within reason. So historically, the architectural profession has lacked diversity. I want to share a few statistics on that. Only 2% of licensed architects in the US are Black or African American, and less than a quarter of those architects are women. Overall, only 17% of licensed architects in the US are women. In 1958, it was only 1% that were women. In 1988, that number rose to 4%, and in 1999, it was 13.5%. So now NCAR by the Numbers reports that nearly 2 out of every 5 newly licensed architects in the US are women. However, less than 1 in new architects identify as a racial or ethnic minority. These numbers at the same time indicate the progress that has been made and the strides we still need to take to diversify the profession. But equalizing the numbers of licensed architects is only part of the struggle. When you review the Equity by Design report as one of your required readings for this module, be sure to notice the pinch points that they identify that certain groups are facing, both before and after licensure, that are preventing equity in the profession. In recent years, professional organizations like the American Institute of Architects, the AIA, and the National Organization of Minority Architects, or NOMA, as well as NCARB, are making strides, some large and some small, to have a better grasp on the inequities that exist and on what can be done to help rectify them. However, our conversations around EDI and architecture shouldn't be limited to just correcting the profession itself, but also how we can practice more equitably for the clients and communities that we're serving. So the AIA Guides to Equitable Practice, which we cover mostly in this module, are just one such example of an increased attention to this approach in recent years. Furthermore, social justice and our profession's role in it is joining the conversation more and more, and we continue to interpret and reinterpret the full extent in which our professional duties to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the general public.